Welcome everybody out to podcast number 493. And tonight we're going to talk about the CYA versus finding and fixing problems. Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome everyone. I hope you're doing well. Does anybody get tired of me saying that? I say welcome twice. That's redundant. I really do care, but I wonder if people think I'm being sincere. Anyway, I hope everybody knows that I'm being sincere. Anyway, I really, really do hope you're having a good day. That would really suck if you weren't having a good day. Let's go ahead and talk about some fans and some feedback. So, I've dropped your info to our company's SR management in hopes of getting a superintendent boot camp or training of sorts. Our company, blah, 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 is a mid-level $60 million annual revenue civil site work contractor based out of the Atlanta area. We've transitioned to a lot of large federal projects, and this information would be extremely beneficial for our leaders. Our owner is huge on culture and has developed a program called The Blank Way, which includes a weekly published handwritten fundamental. Each week has a new topic, fundamental, and is read and discussed at the morning huddle across the company. That's field and office. I see a lot of similarities in the content you discussed. I walked into my boss's office a few months ago and your book was sitting on his desk, so I know he is on the same path. LOL. Hopefully we can work something out when COVID slows down. We do quarterly meetings for management, foremen, and above, and typically bring in a speaker. Thanks again, and look forward to the podcast each day. Shoot me your email and I'll send some examples. I think you would enjoy it, and even though I'm sure you're extremely busy. So I thought this was really a nice reach out. I've read some of this company's talks, and they're absolutely fantastic. And I think things like that should be shared and scaled. Absolutely. So I love that. Let's go ahead right into the podcast here. This is going to be a short one. I'm going to dive right into some advanced principles here later on this week. But the one for tonight is CYA versus finding problems. And somebody said this to me the other day when I was out on a construction site walking the job, and they said, PMs, I love you. Don't get mad at me, but I also love T's and PMs. You know how it goes, right? I would have been a project manager, but I didn't. I was afraid of the paper cuts, right? You know, it's kind of funny. So you gotta give it to me. Like, let me make fun, just a little bit. Okay, fine. All right. So, somebody was talking about project managers, and he was like, "Boy, I wish PMs would worry more about finding and fixing problems than hiding problems and covering their own." And then he said, "Sorry." Then he said a cuss word. Let me get the noise effect. Covering their own. And so I was like, "Ooh, that's what happens." And I'm like, "Okay." So I always talk about widen your circle, transparency, bring all problems to the surface. You've heard the podcast, and I like a silly goose, I just haven't realized what was going on. And so really, either that person has a mental paradigm that they need to cover their own backside, or the company has a culture of covering their own backside, or the project has a culture of covering their own backside. And you know who I'm talking about, the limey little SOBs that are always like, "Oh, why would you want to look at that? We don't need to share our financials." Well, I'm not sure I'm allowed to share that. No, we've got this under control. No, it's not a big deal. I don't need help. Well, I have my own log. I don't. Well, let me see it. Well, it's not ready yet. I don't want to share it. Like those people that are always so afraid of getting in trouble or covering their own butt or doing the CYA that they don't share, and they're not transparent with other people. And I feel like I'm so silly that I didn't realize this sooner than now what's going on, because you all know the principle that all problems should be brought to the surface. Like that is the number one job of a project engineer, project manager, and project director, general superintendent, field director, anybody in a senior level leadership position, is we need to bring all problems to the surface. And really, if you go back to the Paul Akers system, what he says is learn the 8 ways, let them thoroughly piss you off, 5S your area in the mornings, which means dang it, I always trip on this, but you sort, straighten, sweep or shine, standardize, and sustain, right? So you're cleaning your areas, you're organizing everything to make it transparent so that then you can find problems. And then when you find problems, you fix what bugs you. You find and fix the problems. You find and fix the problems. You find and fix the problems. That's the series. That is the kind of the most basic concept of what lean actually is. And I really like it. And I like what Paul Akers has done. I think it's fantastic. And there is no problem. The only problem is when you think there are no problems. So we need to elevate all problems to the surface. Everything. I want to know everything. I want to know. It's like a Lady Gaga song. Hold on. I hope I haven't repeated this before. So I'm going to do this. Lady Gaga Bad Romance. If you've never danced with me, Bad Romance, you're missing out on life. So let's see if I can get the lyrics here. Come on. Okay, here we go. Okay, so she says, I want your ugly, I want your disease, I want your everything as long as, hold on, screen's moving around. Hold on. I want your everything as long as it's free. I want your love, 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 love. I want your love, oh yeah. I want your drama, the touch of your hand. I want your leather studded kiss in the sand. I want your love. And she goes on and on. And then the latest chorus is like, I want your love, I want your revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. I want your love and all your lovers' revenge. You and me could write a bad romance. And so, like, literally, no, there's another verse. Stay with me. I want your horror. I want your design because you're a criminal as long as you're mine. I want your love. I want your psycho, your vertigo shtick. And that's like your shtick, the thing that you do. I want you in my rear window, baby. You're sick. So, like, this is kind of funny. So, like, yeah, sometimes in boot camps, if they're not like doing their thing, I'm like, all right, Lady Gaga, baby, like we're doing, we're, do- we're doing this right here. So if you can think about just think about the Lady Gaga song, Bad Romance. Let me see if I can ad lib. I don't even know if ad lib's the right term, but okay, everybody. So, I just said in the podcast that I was going to ad lib. I actually did, and I attempted it, and I got feedback that it was so gosh awful that I should remove it from the podcast. So I came back in here and edited it. So if you're expecting me to sing my own lyrics to this, I wasn't able to do it. Just imagine that for roadblocks, we really just want to see everything. So I will spare you the torture of listening to me try to ad lib this. On we go. Your roadblock revenge, right? I want your horror. I want your impact to flow because you're a criminal as long as you're mine. I want your cycle. I want your normal stick. I want you in my rear view window, baby. You're sick. And so, like, I don't know. Hey, if somebody could plug in roadblocks and problems in that, I would really love that. I feel kind of embarrassed because I totally tanked that. I'm not a rapper, but anyway. So my point is, just like Lady Gaga, like we want to like develop a bad romance with like roadblocks and problems. We want them. Like, give it to me. Like, give it to me. And I just want it, right? I want it all as long as it's free, right? So project managers, superintendents, senior project managers, project directors, project executives, general superintendents, field ops directors should be like Lady Gaga, Bad Romance, in love with problems, and bring them up and like take a picture of them and put them on the wall and like worship them until we get rid of them. And like then it's just like duck hunt, baby. It's like we're shooting those things down and we're getting it done. So that's the principle. You all know how I feel about that. Bring all problems to the surface, because when you bring problems to the surface, you remove blocks to flow. Really, instead of flow blocks, I run that. Instead of roadblocks, you could call them flow blocks. They're actually flow blocks. And so don't let the roadblocks block your flow. Don't let your flow blocks get in your way, right? So that's the principle. Now, when people and project managers, and I got to tease you PMs, because it's mostly you. It's mostly you. Come on. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm glad you conceded that point. They're too focused on the CYA and hiding things because they have a fixed mindset. If a problem happens, then that's a reflection on their leadership. That's a fixed mindset, people. That's not a growth mindset. A growth mindset is every project has problems. Every person has problems. Everybody has problems. Bring them to the surface and solve them. So I'm not talking about that. I've talked about that on a previous podcast. I'm talking about get rid of the CYA. And if you see somebody doing the CYA, we have to get rid of it, because that will be a number one driving root cause for why people won't elevate problems, fix them, and create flow. So again, that person that was talking to me was like, boy, if we could just get PMs, they would focus more on finding and solving problems and moving forward instead of hiding and covering problems to CYA. We would allocate the energy and be able to get something done. We would put our focus where it actually needs to be. Think about the energy that it takes to hide problems just so you can look good. Think about the energy that it takes to always want to look good. Think about the energy that it takes to actually cover something up and get distracted. And then think about somebody who's just giving it hell and doesn't care about how they look, and it's just like, hey, you got a problem like Vanilla Ice, baby, I'll solve it, right? So this little podcast, I just wanted to say, let's go ahead and identify those limey little SOBs that are around covering their own butt and spending their energy in the energy of the team doing the CYA. Here's the other thing. I know I'm sitting in the cheap seats because I've never been in a court case, and I know some of you who've been in a court case are like, no, you need backup, you need your daily reports. But I've never in my career ever had something where somebody did the CYA, the backup documentation, the paperwork, and ever have it called up in the court of law. I know it's happened. I know there are people out there. You're probably going to email me and heckle me, but like, how often does this crap even happen? And here's the other thing. If somebody's CYAing and it's a problem, what's going to be more detrimental to your career, that little thing, or when the whole damn project tanks? Like, this doesn't make any sense. So if you find somebody that's doing the CYA instead of solving problems and wasting their energy, let's tell them about it. Let's call them out. Let's teach them. And if they refuse to be taught because of their human agency, then let's invite them to work somewhere else. They can go work for the federal government if they want. So bottom line is, we need more people out there that are putting their energy towards finding and fixing problems than to hiding and covering them up to CYA. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.